Picture number 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60.
And for those of you listening on Sirius XM, the numbers you're hearing in court right now in this real trial out of Boston, Massachusetts, are the numbers of the photos, the evidence numbers of a series of photos that Boston police investigators took in the defendant Shaun Harrison's office at the school where he worked. The photos showed a number of things, including the shelves, the drawers, just basic appurtenances in that office, and also the defendant's diplomas and certificates of praise, some of which came from the Boston Police Department. And ironically, the witness on the stand who took the photos is from the Boston Police Department, the investigatory agency that's looking into this particular crime. Shaun Harrison, again, accused of shooting a student in the head after that student had been dealing drugs, apparently, for that defendant who was a school officer. An interesting case. Let's listen back into testimony. Again, this is the Shaun Harrison case out of Boston, Massachusetts. A BPD officer on the stand.
I think it was after 9 o'clock, 2100 hours.
I'm sorry, what time was it? After 9 o'clock in the evening, at night?
Yes, sir, I believe.
And the Boston Police Department, members of the Boston Police, other members of, excuse me, other members of the Boston Police Department got there before you did, is that right?
Correct.
And you saw 3 storage units there in the basement, correct?
Yes, sir.
They were all open when you got there?
No, sir.
Which ones were open?
So if you're looking at them, the one all the way to the left had a lock on it.
Okay.
The center one had a lock on it. And when I arrived, the one to the right was already open.
And do you know how long other members of the Boston Police Department had been there before you got there?
No, sir.
Did they ask you to photograph anything from the unit on your right that was already open?
They had me fingerprinted, and I think we took photos.
Did you take any photographs of anything that was... Anything that you saw in that right-hand storage unit, did you take any pictures of that?
Yes, Officer Dillon took some overalls.
And any specific items?
Not that I recall, no.
And you don't know how long that unit had been open before you got there, correct?
No, sir.
And you don't know whether it had a lock on it or not before you got there, correct?
Yeah, no idea, sir.
Do you remember how long you were on the scene that day, that night?
I believe we were there for almost 2 hours. So I remember I wrote in my notes that at 2300 hours we started going, we were already at District 2. So it's probably just under 2 hours.
I'm going to show you a document, ask if you've seen that document before without all the writings on it.
No, sir.
Okay, I'm going to direct your attention down toward the bottom of this document. Does that refresh your memory as to what time it might have been that the search was conducted of the storage unit that you took photographs in?
Yeah, they wrote on it 2200 hours.
I'm happy to have you say that, but the question was, does that refresh your memory as to what time it was? Does that seem like the right time, 2200 hours, be 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah, I still, for some reason, I believe we were there earlier though. But I don't.
So you think you got there around 9 o'clock?
Sometime, yeah, I think sometime after 9 o'clock.
Do you know what happened between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock?
No, sir, but I'd have to see a picture of that, the first gray card. We take a picture when we start the photos. It has the time on it.
Did you take any photographs of anything that was seized from Shaun Harrison on March 4th, 2015?
No, sir.
Were you ever shown a black overcoat that was taken from Shaun Harrison and asked to photograph it?
No, sir.
Or a pair of gloves?
No, sir.
Or a hat?
No, sir.
And in the storage compartment that you found in the basement at 18, Mr. Bradley had you identify some photographs, the general area in the basement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there is at least one wall with any number of sort of household items like doors propped up against it, correct?
Correct.
That's a fair and accurate representation of the way it looked then.
Yes, sir.
And there was a whole row of like heaters and furnaces, water heaters and furnaces, correct?
Correct.
That was the way it was when you saw it that night. That was a fair and accurate representation of the way it looked.
Yes, sir.
And there was a washer on one side and a dryer on the other side.
Yes, sir.
And did you see any black stools there?
Not that I recall, sir.
You didn't take any pictures of any black stools down there, did you?
Officer Dillon took the photos, but not that I remember. There was,
And the pictures that Mr. Bradley just showed you didn't depict any stools, did it?
a stool, no, but I thought there was a chair in one of them.
A chair?
Yes.
Not
Not
asked
a
about
stool.
chair.
Okay, thank you.
I think we know the difference. right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And once you get inside, there's a middle one that you took a lot of pictures, that you or Officer Dillon took a lot of pictures inside the middle unit, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that unit was unlocked while you were there?
It was locked when we first took the photos. They unlocked it. I don't know if they used bolt cutters or what, but it was opened up.
Then you were able to go in and photograph things, correct?
Correct.
And there were a number of things that you said that were found. There was a box of ammo up in the ceiling, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the laundry bag, correct?
Yes, sir.
That was pretty much immediately obvious once you opened up the door.
Yes, sir.
And it was inside the laundry bag that you found some bags believed to contain marijuana, correct?
Yes, the detectives did.
Right. And the other things that you sort of photographed and took note of were basically found inside the safe, is that right? Things that were seized for evidentiary purposes?
Yes, a bunch of those items came out of the
That would have
safe.
included the semi-automatic, correct?
Yes, sir.
Medium plastic bag that might be contain cocaine, is that right?
That was in there, yes.
That was in the safe?
Yes, sir.
And a box of 23 bullets of 38 caliber ammo,
Yes, sir.
and a silver Smith & Wesson handgun, 32 caliber,
Correct.
7 38 caliber bullets, 11 380 caliber bullets, a scout casing, and a Goodwill bag, correct?
Correct.
But you also found some items that had people's names on them, correct?
Yes,
And that was Matthew Palacios,
I believe so. Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as Exhibit 119, correct?
Yes, sir.
And these are the pieces of paper inside the safe that you took some pictures of, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the Social Security card in the name of one Matthew Daniel Palacios?
Yes, sir.
The Commonwealth ammunition under Massachusetts law, correct?
Correct.
And was anything sent for further testing for fingerprints, do you know?
I remember separating the ammunition from those 3 boxes. So when ADA Bradley showed it to me, we had the box and the plastic container. So the cardboard box from each one was separated and sent to the latent print unit for processing.
So some of the packaging material, if you will, for the ammunition was sent to latent print for processing to see if they could recover anything, correct?
Correct.
And once that safe was open, when the safe was open, was there any way that you could tell how long any of those items had been inside that safe?
No, sir.
And that's true basically of anything inside that unit at all, correct? When they opened up the door, whether they used the bolt closures or not, there wasn't any way that you could tell how long any particular item had been there, correct?
Correct.
You also participated in the execution of a search warrant on March 7th at the high school, correct? English High School?
Correct.
And you took a picture of a door, I think it was number 235, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you take any pictures inside that room?
Yes, those series of photos that we went over were from that room.
And do you remember what was inside there, independent of what you took pictures of?
I do remember some of the
That
stuff.
whole series of photos when you said you started to the left and swept around to the right, that was all taken inside of room 235?
Correct. I didn't take photos in any other office but that one.
Or in that little common area before you got to that door?
Just those overalls.
And when you took that picture of room 235, the outside, there was another door right next to it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you go into that room at all?
No.
And there were other doorways into other offices off that common, sort of I'm calling a common area, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you went into, when you were inside room 235, that's where you photographed the Exhibit 137, the certificate?
Yes, sir.
How long were you and other members of the Boston Police Department inside room 235?
I'd have to look at the times we signed in and out, maybe an hour, a little over an hour.
Okay. Plenty of time to search that office, correct?
Yes, sir.
And during the course of that search, did you observe any members of the Boston Police Department retrieve or uncover a knife?
Not that I was made aware of, no.
And you certainly didn't take any pictures of any knife that was recovered in that office, correct?
No, sir.
Not correct or correct?
No, you are correct.
Okay. And you didn't see you're unaware of any marijuana being recovered in that office, correct?
No, sir. No marijuana.
Whether it was bag marijuana or roaches or anything like a roach being a partly burnt marijuana cigarette?
Correct. There was
You
not.
didn't see anything like that, correct?
Yeah, no evidence like that, sir.
And you didn't see anything like and you didn't see any firearms inside that?
No, sir.
And when you went inside that room, did you notice any particular smell?
No, sir.
Was your attention directed to any sort of cologne or air freshener or anything like that inside the room?
I thought we took photos of some small vials, but I didn't know what they were.
What photos that Mr. Bradley just showed you, did you see any vials, like any of those vials that you were talking about?
It might have been in one of the drawers, but not that I recall, no.
Not a cologne or like a Ralph Lauren cologne or anything?
Not that I remember, sir.
Sorry. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Carroll, I'd ask you a few questions about the time that you executed the search warrant, sir. Starting with the basement, you said that the gray placard would help you out.
Yes.
Is that photograph number 1? Does that assist your memory as to when you started the search warrant,
Yes, 2105.
which is 9 p.m.?
905.
And at the end, you finished with photograph 132.
So this end time was the end time from the basement, 2231, 1031. And the time up top is when we went to the station to go through the safe.
And there are photographs prior of what was found in the safe. Is that right?
Yes, sir.